After 51 years in prison, Louisiana's longest-serving incarcerated woman is free. Gloria Williams, who became known as Mama Glow behind bars, was released Tuesday, more than 2 years after the state parole board first recommended that her sentence be commuted. January 25, 2022 was the day Gloria Williams, Louisiana's longest-serving incarcerated woman, had long been dreaming of. After 51 years in prison, the 76-year-old had been granted parole. Within hours, she walked out of the gates of the Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women and into the jubilant hugs of her friends and family, including her sister Mary Smith Moore. Over the years, I've talked to her, visited her, emailed her, Smith Moore told the Appeal. But to have her touch my face and me be able to hug her is just unexplainable. That emotion, that feeling that you can touch your sister. In 1971, Williams, then 25, was arrested in Opelousas, Louisiana, after she and 2 others tried to rob a grocery store using a toy gun she'd taken from her son. During a struggle with the store owner, Budge Cotrera, Williams' co-defendant, a 16-year-old girl, fatally shot Cotrera with a firearm he kept behind the counter. 9 months later, all 3 were sentenced to life without parole. While incarcerated, Williams became involved with the prison ministry and the Big Sisters program, in which long-termers mentor newly arrived women. Through her counseling and mentoring, Williams earned the nickname Mama Glow. Williams' release on Tuesday was the product of years of advocacy and patience. In July 2019, she appeared before the Louisiana Board of Pardons and Paroles, which unanimously recommended that Governor John Bel Edwards commute her sentence to make her immediately eligible for parole. By then, Williams was the only one still in prison for Cotrera's death. The woman who shot him had died 15 years earlier in prison. The other person involved, Philip Anthony Harris, was granted a commutation in 1987. With the parole board's blessing, Williams finally had a chance at freedom. But for over 2 years, the governor took no action on the recommendation for commutation. Then COVID-19 hit. At the time, Williams was living in a dormitory with dozens of women and no walls or doors separating them. In early 2020, Williams contracted COVID-19, which developed into bilateral pneumonia. She was hospitalized and placed in the intensive care unit. In May, she was returned to prison. By then, 165 of the prison's 213 women had tested positive for COVID-19. Now requiring supplemental oxygen, Williams continued to wait for the governor's decision. She applied for and received an interstate transfer, which would allow her to live with her son and her family in Houston if she were paroled. Finally, on August 2021, over 2 years after the parole board's recommendation, Edwards officially commuted Williams' sentence, making her eligible for parole consideration. But Mama Glow's wait for freedom still wasn't over. On Tuesday, Williams appeared via Zoom before 3 parole board members as well as Contreras' son, grandson, and granddaughter. Williams listened while the three described the pain of losing Contreras in 1971. She took away someone we love. We don't get him back, Contreras' granddaughter said, crying throughout her statement. Then it was Williams' turn to speak. I cannot change the pain that I've caused the Contreras family, she started. Sorry is not enough. I deprived you of your father and your grandfather. Wiping her eyes with a tissue, Williams apologized, stating that she wished she could go back in time and undo her actions. The 3 parole board members expressed their condolences to Contreras' family, reminded them that the parole board's responsibility was to evaluate Williams based on the present circumstances. My job today is not to look at the person who did this horrible thing 50-some-odd years ago, but to look at the person she is today, said parole board member Cheryl Renatza. Parole board member Bonnie Jackson said it was the board's duty to not consider the crime to the exclusion of everything else. Before citing Williams' age and low risk score as determining factors in her decision to support parole, the board members voted unanimously to grant Williams parole with the stipulation that she have no contact with the Contreras family. Hours later, Williams walked out of prison, in addition to her sister and 2 sons, one of whom was 3 years old when she went to prison. Mama Glow's supporters included members of Participatory Defense Movement, NOLA, PDM NOLA, an organization founded by a formerly incarcerated couple that had advocated for Williams' release. Mama Glow's release from prison set a new trajectory for people to believe was possible, Fox Rich, PDM NOLA's co-founder, told the Appeal. It will continue to show that everyday people can make a difference in the system. Williams' sister, Mary Smith Moore, agreed. I'm so grateful for the people who stood with us and behind us, who held the doors open for us to walk through. 4 days earlier, Smith Moore had buried her husband. After the funeral, she prepared to travel to Louisiana for her sister's parole hearing and possible release. You have to have somebody when you can't be there. Families can't do it alone. Williams is now in Texas, reuniting with her family, including her 2 remaining siblings, adult children, adult grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, one of whom was born 15 minutes before her release.